So, dear Dennis, what was it like reuniting with the original lineup, both musically and emotionally, to start working on The Revenge of Alice Cooper?
Musically, it was exciting because we all work so well together, and everybody knows exactly what their job is, and we have a lot of fun being together socially. So we had a blast. As far as emotionally, it was just exciting, very, very exciting, and tons of fun.
Can you describe the songwriting process? I mean, did you exchange ideas remotely, each recording demos individually, or did you actually meet in person to rehearse?
Well, first of all, once the idea was presented that we're actually going to do an album, we started sending songs and writing new songs and sending them to each other. And some of the songs were older songs that have been around for a long time. Some were brand new. A couple of songs we wrote right in the studio. So it had a lot of variety. But this record was made with us all in the same room, deciding which songs we wanted to do, and then learning them and then recording them, and everybody throwing out all of their ideas and everybody having an equal say. And so it was just very much like it always has been.
And what was the production process like, once again working with Bob Ezrin, this time in a studio in Connecticut?
Well, Bob's the same. I mean, he walks into the studio all enthusiastic, let's make an album, come on. And, and then Bob is also very good at letting everybody throw out their ideas and discuss their ideas. We're all very passionate about whatever we think is the best idea for each part of every song. Bob lets that go down, unless all of a sudden it looks like we're coming to a standstill, and then Bob will jump in and say, okay, we're doing it that way, and then we move forward. But that's what a producer does. The difference is, for Love It to Death and Killer and those albums, we would have 2 weeks to decide which songs we were going to do. And this recording session was like doing that plus recording for real at the same time. So Bob had booked studio time at Carriage House Studios in Stamford, Connecticut, thinking that 10 days we should be able to get 5 songs. But we ended up recording like a dozen songs. And then we recorded a couple more later in Nashville, but we recorded the whole album when he thought we were just going to kind of get started on the album. It's when we're all together in a room, including Bob, Glenn Buxton's spirit is there, and we all have a lot of fun. We make fun of each other and we joke around a lot. Not to say that we're not dead serious about recording process. We just do that because it helps keep everything loose, the feel of the recording loose, and keeps the tension away.
And how did you manage to involve the late Glenn Buxton in what happened to you from the other side, so to speak?
What happened to you came about because I still had this cassette of a late night jam, like 3 o'clock in the morning at the Gillespie estate where the band lived in 1973. And Glenn had this riff. So I had a cassette machine and I recorded it, and we just kept playing the riff over and over, trying to come up with ideas. And I told Bob Ezrin, I said, I've had this cassette of this riff all these years, and I've always intended to finish the song in Glenn's a tribute to Glenn. And Bob said, yeah, let's do it, because technology now, you can clean it up. And so Bob cleaned it up, and then he added a click track to it. And then in the studio, the band wrote a song on the spot, the kind of song we thought Glenn would approve of. So that was one part of Glenn being there. Glenn's recording is on the song, and he gets a writer's credit. There's a couple of other songs on the album that are dedicated directly to Glenn. One is about Glenn and one is to Glenn. And then even a song I wrote, Blood on the Sun, has lyrics that came from TV Guide. So in America, it used to be every week you'd get a little booklet that told you what was going to be on television that week. And Glenn loved those. He had a collection of them. He kept them all in chronological order, stacked on the floor in his bedroom. And so the lyrics for Blood on the Sun was inspired by Glenn's love of TV Guides. So there's a lot of, not only that, but also Rick Tedesco, our friend who played guitar on the original tracks, played Glenn Buxton's white custom SG, his Gibson. So that guitar is on most of the tracks.
So Glenn is definitely in the album.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely there. The only thing that was missing is the cops didn't show up.
Well, tell us about the incredible guest appearance by Robbie Krieger on Black Mamba. How did that come about?
Well, we started out, we were all trying to think of who should play guitar. We didn't want to have a lot of guest artists. We wanted to pick one guitar player so it would be more like a group. Yeah. And everybody had their own ideas, and Alice had a million ideas, Slash, Joe Bonamassa, all these different people, Johnny Depp. But we all agreed that Black Mamba was a slinky song and that Glenn would have played his slide guitars with a spoon on that. Yeah. And he was friends with Robbie Krieger. So we said, okay, definitely Robbie Krieger. He's the best slide guy around. And but then we were kicking around too many ideas about who we should get. Robbie couldn't do the whole album, but so Bob Ezrin found this guy Jazzy, who is from Nashville, and Bob has his studio there. And so Bob asked around Nashville, who's the guitar guy that would be perfect for an Alice Cooper group reunion? And 3 different people said Jazzy. So Neil and I went to Nashville and we recorded a couple songs with Jazzy. We did the Yardbirds song, I Ain't Done Wrong, because the Yardbirds were such a big influence on the Alice Cooper group. And also because Jeff Beck had just passed away at that point. And Jazzy was a young guy who was really out to play whatever we wanted him to play, the nicest guy in the world. But Neil and I, we recorded 2 songs. Alice and Shep Gordon and Bob Ezrin were in the control room, and Neil and Jazzy and I were in the recording studio laying down the tracks. And so we walked out thinking, well, that went well, but Neil and I still weren't convinced that that's the best guy for the job, right? So we went to Jazzy's show in Nashville that night, and Jazzy opened the show, just him sitting on a stool playing dobro guitar blues, deep like Delta Mississippi blues. Yeah. And then he played even a cigar box guitar. It's made out of an actual cigar box, but it's a guitar. Yeah. And we're going, wow, we didn't know he could do that. And so then Jazzy finishes that set and goes in the back room. And when he comes out, it's like all of a sudden you're transformed back to the early glam days, T-Rex, Alice Cooper, David Bowie, and he's a master showman. And Neil and I saw that show and said, that's the guy.
And what was it like to re-record Return of the Spiders, and what kind of memories from the early days did it bring back?
Well, we didn't re-record that. That's an original recording from 1970. Yeah. And then the Titanic Overture, that is the original track from 1968 that we recorded with Frank Zappa. But Bob Ezrin and Alice went into the studio in Los Angeles and recorded the vocal track. And
Okay.
then Bob changed the arrangement a little bit, edited to accommodate an extra verse. Return to the Spiders, you hear Alice saying, "Can somebody get me a beer?" You know,
Yeah.
he's talking to Dick Christian, who was the guru for the band in the early days, the guy that always pushed us to be different, who unfortunately just recently passed away. Very sad. We will remember him well. But none of us remember recording that version of that
Okay.
song. We always had the rolling drum beat, like on the Return of the Spiders that's on Easy Action. And none of us remember doing one with a straight beat.
Well, in my opinion, Battle Axe by Billion Dollar Babies is a fantastic release. And what do you recall about working on that album, and what were your expectations at the time?
Well, my expectations was that Alice was going to join us and it was going to be the next Alice Cooper album. That's what the band had all decided. But as that didn't happen, and then legal notices started showing up in our mailboxes, and we couldn't get a phone call through to Alice, and we had invested a fortune into this gigantic stage for the Battle Axe show. The emotion was disillusionment. I couldn't believe that my best friends, Alice and Shep, would leave us behind. I couldn't believe even Warner Brothers would dump us like that. So it was financially devastating and emotionally devastating. And we did 4 live shows. We got a great write-up in Rolling Stone.
Are there any upcoming non-Alice Cooper related projects that you can share with the fans? Shall we expect something maybe in the future from Blue Coupe?
Blue Coupe have been, oh my God, everybody in the band is so busy. Joe has different things
Okay.
going on. Albert is playing drums with the Dictators. Albert's also going to China for a while, for a lengthy visit. So, our new release, which is When Legends Collide, it's got 7 videos on it, including an all animated video. And then it's got a bonus track, which was supposed to be just outtakes that we had done over the years, but that turned out to be as good as any of our albums. So that When Legends Collide, look that up. It might be sold out, but we might be making up some new batches. And we're also kicking around the idea of doing a vinyl greatest hits release. So keep your eye on Blue Coupe, even though I'm busy doing this and Joe's busy doing that and Albert's busy doing that. But Tish and Snooky, I just had dinner with them last night, so they're ready to go whenever something comes up. And Blue Coupe we still got a long way to go.
How did you come up with the bass line of Halo Flies? I've always wondered.
Halo Flies, so we got good when we were the Spiders back in Phoenix, Arizona. We were the big house band at the Popular Club. And we would try to come up with lots of new songs every weekend. So it got to a point where we had a bunch of Rolling Stones songs and a bunch of Kinks songs and Who songs. So we made medleys.
Yeah.
So it would be a medley. So it'd be part of a Who song that would go into another Who song, into another Who song. And we got good at making medleys. Halo Flies was a bunch of ideas, guitar riffs, bass lines, drum parts, and it was just a whole bunch of things kicking around that hadn't found a song to be in. And we made a medley out of all those ideas. And we had a big giant chalkboard so everybody could look at it. And when we erased a part and moved it to another part of the song to rearrange it, we could all just look at it and know what the new arrangement was. And the bass part pretty much was just written to go with all of those parts. so Michael had the opening riff, and then I let that it sounded kind of like a bunch of flies swarming or
Yeah.
something, I guess. And then the bass would come in, and then we'd go into this next riff, which was heavy guitar riff, and I would just double that. So each part, I would just do what I felt that whatever that part was called for. And then, so the drum part, the drum solo part, which is really a duet because the bass keeps
Trutum,
going.
tutum, tutum, trutum,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So we recorded it without that. It was just the bass. And I don't know, on some of the early recordings, you could even hear Michael counting one,
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
And when he got to 11 or whatever it was, then we went back into the song. And then we took all of the drums apart and took them downstairs. This was like a big business building in Chicago. And we took the drums down to the lobby, and there was just a night watchman there. And here we all come bringing the drums into the men's room, the bathroom in the lobby of this big building, because it had all the tiles and it had echo. So it was like an echo chamber. So we set up Neil's drums in there and ran cords all the way from the upstairs studio to mic the drums, and that's where Neil added that drum solo part.
Unbelievable. So, which final message and greeting would you send to your Italian fans?
We're back, baby. We love Italy. I've never been to Italy, but I love so many things about Italy. Sofia Loren, yes. Federico Fellini, love Fellini. We love Italian food. Pasta with porcini mushrooms and
Of course.
olive oil, and followed with limoncello and maybe some grappa, right?